seen it done, and if there's no roadmap to get there, and you're like, hi, what do you wear? What do you, how do you talk to people? Like, you don't know anything about it. And so I wrote this just as a testament to that journey, because I see a lot of young folks coming up that can't relate or identify sometimes to the people around them. And so I want to just be able to be a vessel for that. So this is called When You're Ready. It's long. When I was just a pebble, I'd watch the stones stand solid as rocks against the boulders of fear, move mountains with carefully pressed lapels. The straightened ties would dangle from straight necks because bodies covered in controversy can't help but stand up straight. Shine shoes would press into the floor, rise off the ground and press down again, and right then, I knew it was possible to fly. The responsibility of the misunderstood can be underestimated, the way we're educated to believe the proverbs of our childhood. Those that are with us are against us. So we wage war in the middle of our binaries. But contrary to our national investments in normality, there's only us. Sloppy and irregular, see the waistband of success is holding in the obesity of complacency, and these ideals are in unnatural shape. And in the end, there's only us. The authentically misshapen misfits whose bodies refuse to conform, whose minds are already wandering because the beaten path is across our backs. The swollen belly of a pregnant moment in time creates maternity of love who's never known an ugly child, so if only to her, this is a beautiful face. And perhaps that's the real threat of change, that we may not understand the elasticity of evolution, that we may not have a say in how far this goes, have no say in just how much the next generation can do or be or say. Those responsible for the destruction of expectations are made to be the faithless who would dare to practice rather than preach. And how dare you do something different than just sit, praise, and wait. But the weight of waiting is more pressure than living. And we can't hold back where we're going, so we pray and live and do our best to exist. And I know that there's 4.5 billion years between myself and the Big Bang, but I've witnessed creation as pebbles become stones under the pressure of a system that prefers gravity over destiny. And they use our stories like fuel, but under the pressure, the coal that they've made us into becomes the diamond and the rough. And the more cuts that a stone gets, the brighter it shines. If evolution ever becomes as reckless as consistency, then I suspect that mothers would stop telling their babies that they're perfect just the way they are. They say that God never makes the same thing twice, and then they hold the youngest to the oldest and speculate about what went wrong. Well, I can tell you. See, that baby had the audacity to believe from birth that limits were only myths, that perfection was an expectation gained only by the tenacity to live. In authenticity, the unprecedented is expected because it's never been done like this. And that's what our hearts told us. So how silly of us to believe that from birth we could be anything we believed we could be. And for those that cracked under the pressure, I don't hold that against you, because chances are no one ever told you that the world changed the day you were born. There were mothers and fathers going about their business, grocery lists being satisfied, debts being settled, calls being resolved, children committing playfulness across an ordinary day like any other that had come before, and then you arrived. Everything that had been done regularly, even just a moment before you appeared, is now obsolete. The earth itself could not maintain its regularity under the gravitational pull of your destiny, because nothing like you has ever been created. The very definitions of possibility must be recreated, and all I ever needed was for someone to turn, look me straight in the eye, and tell me the world had been waiting. That evolution had stopped creating until they received news from heaven that everything was going to be done different, because we had arrived. And you don't have to know who you are. You can question 1,000,000 times a day whether or not you're living the life that you're supposed to. You can question the mirror, beg to change your reflection, exasperate your confusion. You can beg to loosen your skin that you might crawl out and begin again anew somewhere other than you. You can cut at your flesh and you can tear at your spirit. You can enslave your uniqueness and capture your essence. And when you're ready, when your aching muscles are exhausted, your tears are bitter and dry against your cheeks, when your body is done fighting, your spirit is aching to be loved, and you simply can't hold it in any longer, I'll be the rock. For those that have never seen what they could be, never heard their names spoken gently, For those that have never heard a voice like theirs or feet that lead tracks that they may want to follow, I'll be the rock. Because what I needed was someone to stop me from rolling downhill. Keep me from skipping across the river that gladly would have rubbed me smooth if I hadn't spent so much of my time fighting the currents. All I ever needed was a rock that could have held me when I was tired from trying to run upstream. So for the weary bodies, for the unconformed and undefined, the dividing line between our authenticity and normality, for every little girl awake in the middle of the night praying to God to have mercy at puberty, for every little boy standing in mommy's mirror with decorated faces and oversized heels, for every bleeding wrist and bruised face, for myself at 13 who never saw a me, let this be your answered prayer. For every gender bender warrior, for every midnight dreamer, for every child who didn't live a day past childhood with the same hopes of being themselves, I'll be there when you're ready. When the fight becomes too much, I'll be the sturdy shoulder for a weary warrior. I'll be the hands that hold you when you're tired, the voice that speaks in your silence, the footprints so you know where to step. I'll be the hands that straighten your tie, and the strength to move mountains when your feet press into the floor, rise off the ground and press down again. And when you're ready, I'll show you that it's possible to fly. It's getting kind of tight up here. Show somebody.